Welcome back to On the Same Page. We are on Daf Chaf Aleph Amud Beis. That's 21b of Maseches Taanis. We are 2 lines from the bottom of the page towards the end of the line. We were discussing the virtues of Abba Umna, Abba the bloodletter, the doctor, who would be visited, I think the Gemara said, every day by a heavenly voice with greetings from the Yeshiva Derakia, the Mesifta Derakia, the heavenly Yeshiva. And Abaye only experienced this once a week. And Abaye was saddened by this, and he wondered what were the great virtues, the great acts of Abba the Umna, Abba the bloodletter. So the Gemara described some of the things that Abba Umna did, and the last thing that it said was that when Torah scholars would come, so he wouldn't accept payment, and he would even give them some money to go and buy something to give them some strength after their bloodletting procedure. So the Gemara now says, again, 2 lines from the bottom, it says, Yom Achad Shadar Abaye Zuga Derabanan Umivdike. Abaye, one day Abaye sent a pair of scholars, of students, to go and investigate and see, really, is it true what they say about Abba the Umna. Osvinu, so when they came, Abba Umna sat them down, ve'achlinu, and he gave them food, ve'ashkinu, and he gave them drink, umachuhu bistarki b'lelia, and he laid out these beautiful wool sheets for them to lie on, to sleep on. And the Gemara says, the top of the next page, Litzafra, in the morning, karchinu vishaklinu, vikamu vinafkulu l'shuka. It says that these 2 students, in the morning, they wanted to test Abba the Umna's righteousness, so they took these nice sheets that he had given them. They rolled them up and they took them with them and went to the market. Ve'ashkachinu. And they found Abba Umna there. Amrulei l'shaymei mar heichi shavu. They showed him the blankets, these sheets, and they said, my master, please evaluate, how much do you think these are worth? Amar lahu hachi v'hachi. Abba the Umna said, I think they're worth such and such. He said a price. Amrulei, they said to him, V'dilma shavu tvei. They said, but maybe they're worth more than that. They started bargaining. Amar lahu b'hachi shaklinu. He said, I bought these for this amount, meaning he realized that these were the ones that he had bought, and he told them, I bought them for this amount, this is what they're worth. So, amrulei didachniu v'shaklinu minach. They said, you're right, they belong to you, and we took them from you. And we really were just trying to test to see how you would react, and he reacted not at all. He just went along with it, and he wasn't going to embarrass them or anything. He accepted it. So Amrulei, they said to him, B'matusa minach b'may chashetinu. They said, please tell us, what did you suspect when we took them, or when you saw that we had taken them? What were you thinking? Amar luhu, he said to them, Amina, I said, Pidyon shvuyim ikul luhu rabbanan. A great matter of redeeming captives has come up. They need money to redeem captives. And that's why they took these, to sell them. V'achsifu l'memarli, and they were just too embarrassed to tell me. Amrulei hashta nishkalin umar. So they said, so here, you can have them back. He said to them, I'm not taking them back, because me'ahu shaita asachtina midaitai litzdaka. From that moment that I thought that you took them for this purpose, I was masiach das. I gave up my intent to keep them in order to give them to charity, because I thought that's what they were for. I thought that they were for the purpose of tzedakah, and therefore I relinquished my ownership from them to give them to tzedakah, so I won't take them back. And even though this was all in error, he still, out of righteousness, will not take them back. That is what the Gemara recounts about Abba Umna and Abaye. The The Gemara continues as Habakachalsha daite de Rava mishum de Abaye. Rava was saddened because of Abaye, because Abaye got this heavenly voice from the heavenly yeshiva on a weekly basis. And the Gemara says that Rava only heard it once a year on Erev Yom Kippur, on the eve of Yom Kippur. So Amruleh, so they said to him, Rava, don't worry about it. Mistayech dika magnis akula karcha. You should feel that it suffices that your merit protects the whole city. So on the one hand, it's true you don't get visited by the heavenly voice as often as Abaye, but on the other hand, you have great merit in that your merit protects an entire city. That's what, I guess, the other sages told Rava. There's actually a girsa in the Bach. The Bach has a version that says that this occurred to Rava in a dream. That someone appeared to him in a dream and told him this, that he need not worry because he has great merit that protects the whole city. The Gemara continues. We're on the second wide line. Rav Broka Choza habashliach beshuka debei lefet. Rav Broka Choza would often hang out in the shuk, in the market in Lefet. Havashliach Eliyahu Gabei, and he would hang out in the market, but also Eliyahu Hanavi would often visit him. Amar Lei, so one time Rav Broka said to Eliyahu Hanavi, Ikka b'hayshuka bar alma da'asi, is there anyone in this market that is a bar olam haba, a belongs in olam haba? And the Mefarshim say he wasn't, the Gemara, the Mishnah, or the introduction to the Mishnah says, Kol Yisrael yesh lam chelek olam haba. Every Jew has a portion in the world to come. So what do he mean, is there anyone here that belongs in the world to come? Every Jew has a portion. So the Mefarshim say it means that he was asking, is there anyone here who has the easy pass to the world to come and won't have to go through any suffering before they get to the world to come? So Amar Lego, Eliyahu Hanavi said, no, there's nobody here. At that moment he saw a certain man, and this man was wearing black shoes, and he didn't have any techelas, any tzitzis on his four-corner garment. So he looked, just to say it bluntly, he looked like a Gentile. Because black shoes was common Gentile garb of those days, and Jews did not wear black shoes. And also, he wasn't wearing tzitzis. So he didn't look like, he wasn't even dressed like a Jew. And Eliyahu Hanavi says, Amar Lei, Hai bar alma da'asihu. This man is a member of the World to Come club. So, and he was Jewish, but he wasn't acting in a Jewish way. And yet, Eliyahu Hanavi said he belongs in the world to come. So, Rad Basrei, so Rav Broka ran after him. Amar Lei mai uvdach, he said, what do you do? What is your occupation? Amar Lei, Zilha idna v'talamachar. So the man said, I can't answer you now. Go now and come back tomorrow and I'll give you the whole story. L'machar Amar Lei mai uvdach. So the next day he found him again, and Rav Broka asked this man, what do you do? What's your occupation? Amar Lei, Zan dukna ana. I'm a jail guard. V'asarna gavri l'chud v'nashi l'chud. And similar to what we saw about Abba Umna, he was praised that he kept the men and the women separate. V'ramina purayi ben hani lahani. And I put my bed in between. I guess they didn't have individual cells. They would just throw all the people in prison, and the guard would sleep in there as well. And he said, I put my bed between the men and the women, so that none of them come to any prohibited acts. And these were Jews in this prison. And when I see a Jewish girl upon whom the Gentile prison wardens cast their gaze upon, so I risk my life to save her. And it happened one time, there was a girl, not only was she a Jewish girl, but she was me'urasa, she was betrothed to a man, and she was in the prison. And the Gentiles had put their eyes on her, laid eyes on her, and seemed to be planning something. Shakli durdaya de chamra, I took some wine sediment, v'shadai la b'shipula, and I cast it upon the bottom of her clothes, of her skirt, of her clothes. So there was now red stains from wine on her clothes. V'amri distanahi. I said, guys, you should probably leave her alone. She's menstruating. She's a nida. Now, even though they didn't keep the laws of nida, but still, it was considered disgusting to engage in relations with a nida, with someone who was menstruating. So therefore, he saved her in this way by making her appear like a menstruating woman. So Rebroka turns to this man and he says, Amar lei, my taima les lachuti, v'ramis mesani uchmi. So tell me, you're so righteous, why don't you have tzitzis? And why are you wearing black shoes like a Gentile? Amar lei, he said to him, Ayalna v'nafikna beinei nachrim, ki echidu oleidi diyudana. Because I go undercover amongst the Gentiles, so that they won't know that I'm Jewish. That's why I dress this way. And why do I go undercover? Because ki avu gazri gezirta modano lehu l'rabanan ubo rachmi umevatlu gezirtayu. So that I know when they make decrees, when the Romans make decrees against the Jews, and I go and tell the rabbis they can daven and get the decree annulled. And that's why I dress like a Gentile, because I'm actually undercover. I pretend to be a Gentile so that I can hear the Romans and whatever decrees they make against the Jews. Reb Broker continues to question him, "Umay taima ki amina lach ana may uvdach amartuli or v'amartuli amartuli zil ha'idna v'talam achar." How come yesterday when I asked you what's your occupation, you told me go now and come back tomorrow? Why did you push me off? Why couldn't you just tell me then? Amarle, so the man said, Bahi shaita gazri gezirta, because at that time the Romans had just made a decree. Ve'amina bereisha aizel ve'ashmalu rabbanan, and I said at first I have to go tell the rabbis about it, so that they can daven for it, and then I'll answer your questions. So I said I have to go now, but come back tomorrow. I'll answer your questions. And this was the man about whom Eliyahu Navi said he's got a straight path into Olam Haba, into the world to come. Adahachi v'hachi, at that moment, asu hanach trei asi, or achi. At that moment, two brothers entered the market. Amarle, so Eliyahu Navi said to Rebroka, Haninami b'nei alma da'asi nenu. These two guys, they're also belong to the Olam Haba club. They're also going straight to Olam Haba. So Rebroka, he was intrigued. Azal gabayu. He went over to them. Amar luhu ma'yuv daichu. He said, "What do you do?" Amrulei, they said to him, Inshi beduchi anan. We are jokesters. We are beduchi, like a badchan we have nowadays. We're comedians, basically, they said. Mivadchinan atzivi, and we make the sad laugh. We bring laughter, we bring smiles to people who are sad. Inami or ki chazinan beitrei de islu tigra ba'adayu. If we see two people are in an argument, tarchinan v'avdinan luhu shalma. We put in the effort to bring peace between them, perhaps with the use of humor, which was their skill set. So about them also, the people who brought joy to the sad through jokes, Eliyahu Hanavi said, these people are going straight to Olam Haba. So an amazing Gemara we see from here that we don't always know. It's not for us to judge. We see someone doing something, we don't understand why. So it's true there's a mitzvah of rebuke and to give tochacha in certain situations, but we can't be so judgmental. We have to also realize that we don't know what they're doing, we don't know why they're acting this way, and we can ask them, but we can't just pass judgment. Eliyahu Navi said this man who dresses like a Gentile, he's actually going straight to Olam Haba because he's engaged in activities that are saving Jewish lives, even though you may not realize. And as well, these two jokesters, maybe they seem like they're just they're engaged in frivolity, right? They're just making jokes, but no, he says they're making people happy. They are also straight to Olam Haba. The Gemara continues, it quotes the Mishnah, Elu Masriim B'chol Makom. The Mishnah mentioned a number of things that they would blow shofar for, not just in the place. They would fast and blow shofar not just where it was occurring, but everywhere. And it listed a few things. The brisa that we're about to quote, we'll list them as well. Tanu Rabbar, and the rabbis taught, Al Elu Masriim B'chol Makom. For the following things, they would blow shofar everywhere, not just in the city it was taking place. Al Ashidafon. One was for blight on crops, if crops got a plague. Bal HaYirakon. Yirakon is a sickness. The Rashi said on the Mishnah that it was just a choli, a sickness of sorts. Choli. That's what Rashi says. It could also be that it's something in the crops that they're turning green. Where they're not supposed to, like mold or mildew. That's how it was translated in Sefaria as mildew. And then we have so for these things, because they can spread. So therefore, you fast and blow shofar not just where it's happening, but other places as well. Dal arbe v'chasil, and on locusts, different kinds of locusts. Dal chayara, if there's wild animals roaming. Rabbi Kiva says, Al shidafon val yirakon b'kolshu. For shidafon on yirakon, for blight on the crops and yirakon and this sickness or this mildew on the crops, even the smallest amount, you start blowing shofar because it can spread. Arbe v'chasil, and when it comes to locusts, these different kinds, afilu lo nireh be'eretz Yisrael el kanaf echad masrin alein. Even if you only see one winged creature, one of them, already you start to blow shofar, because where there's one, more are coming, and millions of locusts can come, and therefore you see one, you start to worry, and you start to fast and blow shofar. Now, one of the things we just mentioned was ve'al chaya, for wild animals. The Gemara says, Tanu Rabban, and the rabbis taught, Chayara she'amru, that which we say that if there's wild animals present, you have to fast and blow shofar, bizman she mishulachas, that's where it's been sent, where you can sense that this is out of it's not behaving normally, and therefore this is heavenly sent, and we have to daven. It's not just a natural thing. Masring aleh, that's when we blow shofar for it. But if it's not something that's clearly heavenly sent, but it's just an animal acting in its natural way, then we won't blow shofar for it. How do we know if it's mishulachas, if it's heaven sent? How do we know if it's not? So nearest ba'ir mishulachas. If you see it in the city, wild animals don't usually come into the city where there are people. If you see it in the city, then you know it's been sent. But if you just see it in the field, eina mishulachas, then it's not sent. It's just normal. It's normal for wild animals to be in the field. B'yom, if you see it in the daytime, mishulachas, that's not normal, and it's been sent. B'layla, but if you see it at night, that's typical, and it's not sent. Eina mishulachas. Rasa shnei b'nei adam v'ratzta acharein. If the animal saw two people and ran after them, chased after them, mishulachas, then you know that it's sent, it's heaven sent, it's out of the ordinary, because it doesn't normally run after two people. A wild animal won't usually chase two people. But nichmas mipneim, but if it goes and hides, eina mishulachas, that's not sent, that's what an animal normally does. Tarfa shnei b'nei adam ve'achla echad mehen, if it mauled two people but only ate one, mishulachas, then you know it's heaven sent. Why? Because if it was just doing it out of hunger, out of the natural hunger drive, why did it maul two people and only eat one? It would have mauled one and eaten one. The fact that it mauled two but only ate one, this is not just for hunger, this is something heavenly sent. But achla shnei, if it ate both, eina mishulachas, that's not considered heavenly sent, because that's normal for a hungry animal to maul people and then eat them. Also, legag v'natzol tinok me'arisa, if it goes up to the roof of a house and takes a baby from its crib mishulachas. Then you know that it's heavenly sent, because I believe it's not normal for it to enter a house like this. And Rashi says it would be the same if it goes into the house. It just happens to be that people would do things on the roof and maybe put their baby there. They have flat roofs. But really, any time it would enter a house, that would be out of the ordinary, and you would fast for that. Now the Gemara takes this brisa and now tries to work it out because there seem to be some contradictions. The Gemara says, Hagufa Kashya. The brisa itself contradicts itself. Amar, at first you said Nirasa Ba'ir Mishulachas. We say if it's in the city, then we assume it's heavenly sent. Loshna b'yam, loshna b'layla. It sounds like it's no difference if it's during the daytime or the night. If it's in the city, then it's heavenly sent, and you blow shofar and fast. B'hadar amart, but then right after that it says, B'yom mishulachas, in the day it's sent. B'layla ein mishulachas, at night it's not heavenly sent. It's natural. So which one is it? Is it true that in the city it's always, whether it's day or night, we assume it's heavenly sent or not? And here we're now restricting it and saying depends on day or night. So the Gemara says, Lo kasha, it's not a contradiction. Hachikamar, this is what it's saying. Nirasa ba'ir, if you see it in the city, bayom, in the daytime, mishulachas, then it's heavenly sent. It's not normal for an animal to appear in the city during the day. But ba'ir ba'layla, ain't mishulachas. But it was qualifying and saying, but at nighttime in the city, so the animals come out at night. That's normal, and it's natural, and you don't have to fast for that. It's not specially heavenly sent. Inami, or basade, or then the Bryce added, but in the field, it doesn't make a difference. Afilu b'yom eina mishulachas. Even in the day, it's not considered heavenly sent. It's normal for wild animals to roam in the fields. Now we pose another contradiction. Rasa shnei b'nei adam b'ratz tachrei mishulachas. If the animal saw two people and ran after them, we say that's not normal for it to chase two people, so we consider it mishulachas, we consider it heavenly sent, it's not natural. Ha'omedis, but the implication is if it just stands there and doesn't chase them, eina mishulachas, it's not sent, and that's natural, it doesn't chase two people, it'll just stand there. V'hadar amart, but then we said, nichbes mipnei eina mishulachas, if it hides, then it's not sent. Implying, ha'omedis mishulachas. But if it just stands there, then it's sent. It's heavenly sent. So, right, first it says if it chases them, it's heavenly sent, implying if it stands there, it's not. But then it says if it hides, it's not heavenly sent, implying that if it stands there, it is. So what's the story with if it just stands there? So the Gemara says, Lo kashya, it's not a contradiction. Kan besada asmucha la'agam, kan besada she'en asmucha la'agam. It depends on where this field is situated. If the field is right near a agam, right near a marsh, so then, if it's right near the marsh, so then it's normal for it to stand. It's natural. It sees two people, it doesn't run away because it's right near its natural habitat. It's right near the jungle, and it can just run in if it senses danger. The fact that it stands there is not unnatural because it's close to home. But kan besada she'en smucha la'agam, in a field that's not near a marsh or a jungle, where it doesn't have somewhere to just run and hide, so then if it stands there, that's unnatural, and that's something to be concerned about. Only if it goes and hides, runs away and hides, then you don't have to be concerned. So to resolve the contradiction, we're saying it's true in one place it implies that if it stands still, it's unnatural and you should daven, and the other one implies that it's still natural. Depends where it is. If it's close to its habitat, that's natural, you don't need to daven. But if it's not, then, and it still stands there and it's not scared, that's something to be concerned about. It's unnatural, must be heavenly sent, and you should start to daven. Then we said, Tarfa shnei b'nei adam ke'echad ve'achal echad mehen mishulachas. If it mauled two people, and then only ate one, then it's considered heavenly sent. It's not natural, because why is it not eating both? If it was hungry for two, it would have eaten two. If it wasn't hungry for two, then why get maul two people? It must be that this is unnatural and heavenly sent. But but shneim eina mishulachas. But if it ate both of them, then that's normal. To maul two people and then to eat two people, that's normal. Says the Gemara Ha'amart, but we already said Vafilu Ratzta, that it's enough to just run after the two people. Then we consider it heavenly sent. So make up your mind. Does it have to maul them and eat them, or is it just enough to chase after them? And that's already considered unnatural for this animal to be chasing after people. So Amar Rav Papa Kitaniyahi be'agma. Rav Papa explained that the situation where we require that it eat them before we would be we would consider it unnatural. Again, this is where it eats them and then, where it only eats one. It mauls them, but then only eats one, and we say that that's unnatural. But if it chases them, we also say that that's unnatural. So which one is it? So the difference is where it is. If it's a sadeh if it's in the agam itself, if it's in the jungle, in the marsh itself, that will be the difference. So since that's its natural habitat, so then chasing after them is normal. And we wouldn't consider it abnormal until it does something abnormal, like mauling both of them and then only eating one. Because it's in its natural habitat, it's even normal to chase two people. But if it's not in its normal habitat, so then it starts chasing two people, that's out of the ordinary already. Then there's something to be concerned about. It seems to be heavenly sent, and you should daven. Gufa, we examine another part of the brisa. It said also a gag v'natla tinok me'arisa mishulachas. If the animal goes up to a roof and captures a child from its crib, then that's not normal mishulachas. Then it's heavenly sent. You have to daven. Ask the Gemara Pshita, that's obvious. For an animal to enter the house that way or to go on the roof that way, that's obviously not normal. Why does the brisa have to tell me this? Amar Papa kikuchi detzaidi, or bikuchi detzaidi. That it's talking about the hut of a hunter. Meaning, hunters will sometimes set up little huts in the wild. And you might think that it's out in the wild, so it is normal for an animal to enter that abode because it's out in the wild. The Bryce is going to tell you, even then it's not normal. An animal will stay away from a human home, even if it's a hunter's hut. And therefore, if the animal enters and captures a baby from the roof of that hut or inside, that's considered abnormal. That's considered unnatural, and that's something to be concerned that this is heavenly sent, and it's reason to start to blow shofar and to fast if you see an animal that does that. Okay, we'll pick up from here next time.